Hello and welcome to TalkX, a podcast where we delve into the nuances of technical documentation in the digital age. I'm your host, Dronal Vinay Kumar, a senior technical writer at Razorpay, with a keen interest in how emerging technologies reshape our communication and information sharing approach. Today, we are focusing on the influence of AI in technical documentation. As a technology enthusiast myself, I can say that the advancements that artificial intelligence have brought forth in the past 1 or 2 years, I guess, the way we access our information, particularly the AI chatbots that we see like ChatGPT, they are, I mean, beyond incredible. Like nobody saw this coming to us so early. And these tools are pretty sophisticated in almost you can answer every question that we can put forth for them. Uh, it is a monumental way in how we access and interact information. As you guys know that we used to have, we still have Google, and that is how we used to get our answers. But getting specific questions answered in such a quick and easy way is probably the first time that we have seen. So let's discuss more about AI in today's episode. Joining us is Pranjal, a manager for machine learning at Razorpay. Pranjal is at the forefront of innovative projects like Doppler, which uses machine learning for optimizing payment executions, and Magic Checkout, an initiative leveraging machine learning to predict and manage order returns. His work also extends into the data robot platform, empowering citizen data science and developing risk models for international transactions. Pretty impressive CV there. Next, we have Sriparna Saha. She is the Associate Director for Technical Writing at Razorpay. She expertly manages and mentors a team of 11 technical writers, including myself. Her guidance in reviewing and enhancing our technical documentation work has been invaluable in maintaining really good, high quality standards and nurturing a very good collaborative team environment. Also completing our panel is Priyanshu Chauhan, a senior front-end engineer at Razorpay, who spearheads the Docs AI project, which is our in-house innovative AI chatbot for the Razorpay Docs website. And uh, this Docs AI website is pretty impressive because it streamlines information access pretty much like ChatGPT, like I said. Priyanshu's work is AI in AI-driven solutions has significantly enhanced user experience for our technical data. So without further ado, let's dive into our first set of questions. So Pranjal, my first question is to you. So for our listeners who are very new to this field, who might not know what machine learning or AI is, could you explain in simple terms what exactly machine learning is? And you also discuss a little bit about Doppler on how it has helped us enhance processing so many high success rates at Razorpay.
Sure, Dronal, thanks for the question. So I'll start with a very simple example, right? In the last 20 odd years, we have all developed the power to store a lot of data, right? And in the last 2 decades, analyzing this data using the term big data had been the go-to thing for a lot of tech companies. Now, analyzing is sort of a reactive job where you sort of look back and find trends and patterns and things that you can understand and then in some ways use to find insights into doing something better, right? That is the whole premise of data analytics. Eventually, people realize that using statistics and basic programming, there are ways to allow a machine to find the same trends and patterns that we as humans were doing manually, right? And then this wave started, I think, in mid 90s in some research labs that eventually caught up. And then came the era of models or algorithms that are capable of doing things repeatedly, of course, and faster than humans because, of course, these are machines. And that led to what we now call machine learning. So it's essentially a bunch of algorithms which are using the same pattern recognition and finding techniques that we did manually, but they're just faster and better than us. And that sets the ground for machine learning, which means machine can learn using the same data as we did. So that's how I would put machine learning in simple terms. Now, coming to Doppler, it's again, by extension, a very similar example. As you know, we process millions and millions of payments across days and weeks, right? When these payments happen, there are very tiny clues. It's like a needle in a haystack problem And these clues, if we find them, it basically helps us it helps us decide better for what comes next. So what Doppler does essentially is for each incoming payment, it almost guarantees or tries to find these guarantees that it's going to be a successful payment. And to do that, the models are trained on millions and millions of data points. So they've found patterns across millions and millions of data points. And using those patterns and that smartness layer, these algorithms are basically deciding for us in real time. And when I say real time, what that basically means is in 1 second, these algorithms make up to 1,000 decisions, right? So that's the power that these algorithms will get to us, and that's how we use machine learning to scale our solutions.
Got it, got it. I had read somewhere that like you operate at a very high scale of 5,000 TPS plus. So what was the standard before we implemented Doppler?
So the standard, so 5,000 is like the peak. Usually, at least 4 to 5 years ago, the industry was operating at around 50 transactions or 20 transactions per second. And then the fintech industry in general grew in India, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 100 to 50 was becoming normal. And then happened IPLs where big players, which participate in IPL for a lot of money movement. These players became a major uh, third party to answer to, and that's where I think the fintech game really grew. And then 200 transactions per second was thought of as like an extreme scale, and then suddenly it reached 1,000 and 2,000, and then we realized, okay, 5,000 is where we actually want to be to have a fail safe setup. So that's the scale we are operating at in peak times like Diwali and IPL, and it is basically by demand that we had to grow at this pace. And for that, of course, we make a lot of technical and tool level adjustments so that we are able to cope up with such a demand.
It is really interesting because like the way you say that from 200 transactions per second to directly 5,000, I think I have my next blog idea. Maybe I'll write something about this because it's pretty interesting. Let's put a pin in that. Moving on to our next panelist, Sriparna. So, as a manager who manages such a large team, how do you see AI tools aiding the coordination and efficiency of technical writing projects here at Razorpay?
Well, to a large extent is what I can say, Dronal. Um, AI has been around for quite some time, just that perhaps ChatGPT, when it came, it could do so many things which we were only thinking about or listening to or reading in articles. We could see ChatGPT doing it, right? For example, let me give you talk about Grammarly, right? We have been using Grammarly for a long time. Perhaps I have been using Grammarly for almost like 5 years or so, which means AI has been around and we have been using it. Perhaps we were not very conscious about it, where we were not knowing it. But with ChatGPT, I think it was right on our face, and we had to accept that okay, AI is real and it is going to impact our lives. So yes, it can help us in many ways. In fact, when we started using ChatGPT for our day-to-day activities, we were able to at least find out somewhere around 8 to 10 very simple use cases where AI could help us or ChatGPT could help us in faster responses, faster turnarounds. For example, let's say I've seen writers, writing pages on a particular feature, but when it comes to writing an introduction, they were struggling with it. So that's where ChatGPT really helped us with coming up with a quick, nice introduction. Also, if I can give one more example, let's say if we have to write FAQs, right? So FAQs are questions which usually the users look for about a particular product. Now, again, since a writer has written about the whole feature, at times it again becomes quite redundant for the tech writer to come up with a set of FAQs, right? So that is again, ChatGPT can be a good help, can really help us in generating good, nice, good set of questions there. Several other examples, AI, we are using AI in also doing some kind of diagrams, images. For video scripts, again, video scripts, creating a video is a very long and lengthy process, and also very, very intense. The involvement of the tech writer is very, very much there. So in such cases, we can actually share a small piece of thing with it that, look, this is what we are trying to do. It can come up with a very nice and clean, video script. Of course, we need to polish it further, but at least it does the basic job of coming up with the first draft. So there are several other such instances where AI can definitely help us. And in fact, if I can quote, like for last 6 or 8 months, the tech writing team at Razorpay has been using ChatGPT, and I can safely say that we have improved our efficiency levels at least by around 12 to 15%.
That is quite a big jump, and I do second that also because, yeah, I mean, my work has also exponentially grown quite a lot. And I do see it as an extension for myself. I don't see it replacing me as such, but yeah, it's a pretty good tool. Let's move on to our next panelist, Priyanshu. So my first question to you is if you could elaborate how we integrated AI specifically through for projects like Docs AI, how did it actually enhance the user experience for our technical docs website?
Sure. I think projects like DocsAI actually enhanced it quite a lot. Uh, to the point, if you see, DocsAI actually accelerated the documentation retrieval process by capturing the user conversation history. So it basically locates and provides the exact information that the user needs, even if it is not on the first attempt. There were times when the developers were trying to find something and they were not using the exact terminology that we use. So that way, NLP comes invaluable because they then based on the history, we can figure out what he is trying to look for, and we can provide that information to him according with the link that he can basically use to go to the exact doc also. One more thing that happened was for Razorpay, the documentation was really huge, and if someone is new, a new developer comes in, it'll be very difficult for him to navigate through the entire doc to figure out what he needs. That way, DocsAI becomes very good because he just needs to provide simple queries and he'll be able to go through like basically navigate through the entire documentation and reach that particular spot. So like I feel DocsAI for a user experience perspective is very good, and there is a decent like performance gain that time game that a person can get from this product.
So, I mean, I have tried it myself, and I've also
Hmm.
heard a lot of chatter on Slack, like how people have been trying to break the system. And
Yes.
so, if you can just let us know, like, how robust the architecture is right now, and
Hmm.
also what is the potential on how big and how powerful it can become?
Hmm. So you can imagine that we are handling around 1 to 1.6 million tokens every 2 to 3 days. That's a lot of queries
Yeah.
actually, and that is
Even
when we are not even we're not handling it. It's still in the beta phase, and people will start using it. It'll be at a huge state. We actually explored a lot around the guardrails that we had to provide because we wanted to make sure the context is always very strictly like binded with what we want for Razorpay, and that is where Azure came in play. We had content filtering there. We had guardrails at our level. We had another like content filtering from Azure side to handle profanity. So there are multiple things that are playing, but the thing about where we are on an AI tech perspective is these stuff are really new. Every day we get new features. So there's still a long way to go. There are people who are able to crack the code even right now for DocsAI also, and we are updating it daily. So that is where we are. Uh, it's I feel there's a decent scope of improvement, but we are at a good space to have it for a good release and like to make it go from beta to a V1.0.
well, all I can say is all the best for the launch. I mean,
Yeah.
we all sincerely hope that it goes really well. It'll be a really good win for us. Uh, so yeah, I mean, that was the first set of questions I had. So for this next round, I will have some open-ended questions for all three of the panelists. Uh, First question which I have is, how do you see AI reshaping the broader landscape of technology and communication in the next few years? Like, what are the main things that you see will be used? I personally feel that robots will actually become a thing, a household thing. We already see a lot going on from Tesla and Boston Dynamics. I think I hope you guys must have also seen those robots doing reverse somersaults and everything. So yeah, they just want to know what your opinion is, what you guys think. It's open to all. Anybody can answer.
Just on a lighter note, if we could get a maid who can do all the household activities, I think nothing like that, especially for working women like me.
without asking for public holidays.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that would be nice. What about you folks, Priyanshu, Pranjal?
Uh, if you would have there was this OpenAI conference that happened in San Francisco in the month of November, and there they were talking about GPT builders and stuff, which
Yeah.
will be very handy when we'll start building on it. I feel like there is a very good opportunity there for companies like Razorpay and other folks to have a system. We can even being a front end engineer, I'm like coming on a point of we are slowly drifting away from UI building to getting things done on a query level. So we might have a builder there itself where a person can come and say simple stuff like, I want to place an order for this customer. And since Razorpay SDK is directly built into the GPT for the chat GPT model that we'll be having in the store, we can directly place an order from there itself. Yeah, security point of view, there will be things that we need to consider, but this can be a good pathway to probably do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, GPT Builder, I mean, the best part about that is that you don't need to be a technical expert to
Yeah,
build
yeah.
it. You don't need to know how to code. It's completely no-code platform and you can build a
Mm-hmm.
specific GPT.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, one of the ideas which I had was like to build a document checker is specifically for Razorpay docs, which follows our checklists, our style guides, and whatever rules we have for our documentation.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be like really cool. Like I'm trying to, just bypass it, try to see if I can build one, but haven't been able to get it exactly how I want it to be. But yeah, the technology is scary good at the moment on how you
Yeah.
can do it.
Zapier is already doing it.
Yeah.
They already have webhooks integrated in GPT-4 where you can like trigger stuff to like basically go through a pipeline. It's very cool to look at. Kind of scary also.
Okay, so in the chat we have Elon Musk will send the robots to Mars to start creating an environment. I mean, he's already sent his first roadster up there. I don't know what else he'd throw. Yeah, I mean, what can he say? Pranjal, what about you? What do you think?
So I mean, I think in the flow of progression of these systems, right? So whatever was defining ChatGPT type systems was actually invented in 2017 by a couple of engineers at Google, and then it took whatever sweet 7, 8 years for this to flourish. Andre Kaparthi was actually at the
Yeah,
forefront of this. He recently called it out clearly that multi-agent systems is where the future lies. So what that essentially means is rather than relying on one model like ChatGPT or one model from any other big player, we will eventually come down to a setup where multiple small models will talk to each other and get things done. Where let's say I want this feature added to my website, and the front end and the back end can be just thought through in the code space itself, and that full thing can be done and implemented, and then my intervention is only needed for testing, right? So that is, I think, a natural extension of current systems. And in the long run, I do believe that a lot of industries are going to be revolutionized. A lot of redundant stuff will go to, these multi-agent systems in the long run, which will, I think, open up pathways for people to utilize their time and space better, I think, right? So currently, basically done the work that we all do, but we don't want to do, all that would be automated in a way that it's done reliably, safely, and is also in our control, rather than just waiting for the algorithm to spit out something and then saying, okay, it's all crap and we have to go back and fix it too. So I think it's going to become more reliable and safe, while giving us more time and energy to find better ways to do newer things, I think.
that is pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, a lot of redundant work going away. I mean, I don't know. I'm in two minds sometimes. Sometimes I feel like whether or not like we'll become too lazy or not, but that's maybe a question for the future. Like we'll only find out when it happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like moving on to our next set of questions. Pranjal, I have another question for you.
Yeah.
So, with projects like Magic Checkout and risk models, like how can AI manage logistics and prevent frauds more effectively? If you could give us a little brief about that?
Sure. So when we say it can manage logistics better, what that means is there's a flow of data, right? What logistics means is you place an order somewhere with a merchant, and of course, the payment happens with us. and then the merchant is expected to ship that product to the customer, right? In this whole cycle, there's a lot of data that moves around, right? In terms of tracking what's shipping, when's it shipping. At the checkout also, there's a lot of information that flows through. So intelligence sit at these layers, right? For example, at checkout, I can figure out, do I really want to allow this person to place a cash on delivery order or not? Because a lot many times what happens is there's a sale going on and the person goes around and orders the same thing in from 3 different places. And whichever comes first, that person keeps the order and the remaining are just left. They'll probably not answer or not pick up the call or give wrong address or something. And what that leads to is a lot of merchant dissatisfaction and a loss for merchant, right? Because the transportation cost is borne by the merchant. So simply finding a way to not allow such a thing in real time during the checkout experience is one way of sort of optimizing for the logistic pain points for our merchants, right? And we've been doing that for a good 1 year, and we've been really successful in that endeavor. And by that, there are natural extensions to this problem, right? Can we also further improve the experience for the customer? For example, if the customer has questions around the product itself, the merchant is not able to cater to. Can we provide an interface, a bot-related interface between the merchant and the customer that is powered by us, so that the customer is also actually happy and satisfied with the updates and all. Not everybody is so keen to go on a website and find that tracking ID and track things, right? They just want to call somebody or ask somebody where is my package and all that. So that's the side which we are looking at in terms of logistics to improve things. And when it comes to transactions, again, it's a natural extension of what we did with Doppler, where for Doppler, we are trying to find the best way to execute a payment so there is highest chances of success. In transaction risk, the transaction stays the same, but the viewpoint changes, right? Now we are more interested in understanding, is this a safe transaction or not, right? And this layer, this viewpoint actually enables models or machine learning systems where we are able to, let's say, soft block or block an order from execution, saying, okay, for so and so reasons, there is a chance that this might be a risky transaction. And that is especially true for, let's say, a international transaction, right? 100 rupees transaction gone wrong can be reconciled and handled later. But let's say $100 or 100 I don't know, yen transaction gone wrong might be of a bigger problem, right? And then it also taints our international brand image. So for those reasons, we look at these transactions from a security or an execution point of view, and we decide whether it's going to be safe or not. And I can talk more about how this is done, but that's the high level view.
It is pretty cool, really. I mean, the way, like, the best possible way to achieve transactions is sort out. I mean, there should be a looking glass to see how, like, I just want to take a look under the hood and maybe write about it and see how it works. Yeah, I mean, I'll maybe connect with you sometime again as well.
Sure.
Uh, Moving on to our next question for Sriparna. What has been the biggest learning curve for the team in integrating AI into documentation workflow, and how have we, facilitated this transaction or transition rather?
So the biggest learning curve, I would say, is accepting, that AI is real, and it is not going to really replace us, it is going to help us. So in order to bring that faith, I myself actually, went ahead and took a subscription of ChatGPT to understand what it is and what kind of questions it can answer and how efficient it is, and played around with that. Also spoke to a couple of leaders in the tech writing industry to understand what is their take on AI, and especially ChatGPT. Like I said, that AI was there for some time, just that with ChatGPT, we know, okay, it has arrived and there's no way we can say no to it. So when I, spoke to a couple of more tech writers or senior folks, I realized they are also having a similar feeling that AI is going to help the tech writers, not really replace them or take away their jobs, but it can be a great aid if used properly, efficiently. Now, once I was convinced, it was my job to, go and talk to my team members and tell them that, look, of course, they were anxious. There were a lot of questions that, is it really going to take away my job, or is it going to help us? There are a lot of things. There was a mixed reaction in the industry altogether. So the job was really difficult to convince them, but we had a few team meetings. I remember a couple of folks even after the meeting coming back and having that one-on-one talk with me just to make sure that okay, I'm telling them the right thing and I'm not just bluffing, and I am in my true sense telling that yes, AI is going to help us, not taking away our jobs. Now, once the team was really convinced that AI is there to help us, it can be a great aid. I think the acceptance was much more easier and faster. And it was the same team who were reluctant, who were afraid, who were, not ready to accept. It was the same team who worked together, who went ahead and evaluated how to really use ChatGPT. And there were folks who actually went ahead and also tried out different other chatbots like Bard from Google and things like that to see how exactly these are different models or which one is a better one for our use cases. And we actually came up with like some 8 to 10 use cases, some very simple, easy use cases. And these are the basic ones that we have done, right? And if we are ready to experiment more, ready to explore more, I'm sure there can be many more, complex use cases. For example, we spend a lot of time in generating reports. Can we take help of ChatGPT there? Of course, there will be a little bit of more, involvement required. We might have to reach out to our technical folks, but I think that will be something worth exploring. We evaluate our support and integration tickets to see how exactly or what kind of queries we are getting in, and if technical writing team can help in reducing those tickets, right? Again, we spend quite a bit of time in evaluating those tickets, analyzing those tickets. Maybe that is somewhere where ChatGPT can help us. So yes, to give you a short answer, the toughest part was to accept. And once we were okay to accept, we were convinced. I think it was just a matter of time to explore things and start adopting it in our day-to-day life.
I mean, I still remember the conversations we would have about ChatGPT. It was a mix of excitement and also concern. Like, what is this? Like, this is scary good. Like, is this supposed to be this good, or is it supposed to be, how is it like answering such questions so specifically? But yeah, I mean, you said the right thing. Like, acceptance has been the biggest part. And I think we have happily adopted the whole AI fiasco thing. We have taken it in our stride. It's pretty good. I mean, let's move to the next question, which I have for Priyanshu. Uh, so some of the challenges, like what were the major challenges you faced when you were developing an AI chatbot like Docs AI, and how did you overcome them?
Okay. So looking from a front-end perspective, the setup was pretty straightforward actually. The only tricky part was like making sure that we were streaming the data in real time. There were security tickets coming in. There were basically some XSS injections that were happening in real time because we were passing the data in real time. And so that is where on the client side of things, we had to make sure that we had specific security measures taken that no one can inject things like because of the response and the query that they're doing. So that is where we worked a lot. Uh, one of the things that came later was like since we are using Azure and we have a deployment in multiple regions like East US or somewhere even in South India we have on the deployments. At first we had only one, and that, due to which there was one day then we had a downtime because this was a shared resource which multiple companies were using. So that is where we got in. We had a conversation in Microsoft, and we got multiple regions display. Now currently we are having like 5 regions, and we have a load balance in between to make sure that we never get a downtime for services like Doxai. And from a complexity on like Razorpay specific, since we had to make sure that we had to be prepared for the higher volume of queries that might come from the website, we did a lot of testing and load testing on the service itself to make sure that we don't ever crash. That would be not good for us for sure. Uh, One last thing that actually was like pretty key point while we were developing this was updating the documents. So as tech writers are updating the document on a daily basis, there are multiple PRs like coming in and going, and the technical documentation is updating very frequently. We had to make sure that the bot was in one-to-one parity with what we have on the technical doc. So we got that automated. We did not want any human intervention in between, and that is where we like created an automated method so that the docs will always be in the exact parity with what we have on the bot, so that the links and the way the user is actually, well, there should be one source of truth for the data that is coming in, right? So these were all the things that we actually paid a lot of attention to while building stuff for like docs AI. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talking about server space and like load, like the handling of loads, I've seen this challenge with almost every company which has anything to do with AI. Uh, so any chance like Razorpay will have its own dedicated server farms ever, or that is
Uh,
not
yeah, it is a cloud-based thing, so technically Razorpay has its own, well,
okay?
if you get it that way. But yeah, I don't see any issues now coming forward. Now we are able to tackle it well. I don't see any downtime any coming any future in any future.
Okay, that's good to hear. Uh, okay, so time for some fun ice-breaking questions which I have. So this is for everyone which is present on the call. All of you can answer these questions. So my first question to everyone is like, if you could have an AI assistant for a day, like which unique task would you want it to do for you and why? Anybody can go ahead.
Go to
Anybody
the
can
gym.
answer. Yeah, I mean,
I
I
would
also
have it
think
work out for me and I'll be
yeah,
chilling at home.
it is pretty cool. I mean, I would hope for the same. Like, I'll drink the protein shake and you go to the gym.
I'd ask you to travel on my behalf in Bangalore and go to office.
Yeah. Also, go pick up orders for me so that I save on the Swiggy delivery charges. That would also be nice. Anybody have any other things that you would want your assistant to do for you?
Yeah, I have one. Maybe you know, suggest me a menu for my child that is delicious, healthy, and easy to cook.
Just suggest, Sriparna, you don't want the assistant to cook it.
Just suggest the menu. That is more than enough. Just tell me how to do that. Because when I try to do that, either it is not easy or it is not delicious. If it is healthy, it is not delicious. Or if it is a fried item, which obviously I don't want to give to my child. So it's always I have to do a trade-off between these three.
Has ChatGPT not helped here?
I think it wasn't prepared. It wasn't trained on these kind of questions.
Okay, anybody else have any suggestions or anything they would want?
I think I would assign it to do like the obvious chores like laundry and getting groceries and keeping the kitchen stacked and cleaning the house. Just non-negotiables.
So you will make your assistant do all the whole 1 month's work in one day, right?
No, every day 15 minutes or like half an hour, whatever. Instead of me having to do it on my Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, end-to-end house management, end-to-end.
I
No,
think
not
we're slowly reaching there.
management, just work. Managing, I will do.
In that regard, I mean, we need to ask I think, queries also nicely. Like if we tell him to cook food and we don't tell him what to cook, I don't know what he'll do. That is also one big learning curve. Like everybody needs to also, like understand, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I think we
Actually,
are,
that brings me to a question, if I can.
yeah.
So with ChatGPT, we've seen like in a lot of memes or just the buzz around that how GPT answers certain questions and does not answer certain questions. So now we have this whole prompt engineering come up. So we spoke about how GPT is not an enemy, he's a friend, he's going to help and, might help create jobs if so. So if that is the scenario, how much value does maybe learning prompt engineering does, and what kind of jobs do you think can be created for people through AI?
I can
That's
take
for everybody
a
in the
shot at
panel.
it. So I personally don't think that, prompt engineering is something that everybody needs to delve into. I think it will eventually become a part of the product, meaning you can simply ask things in plain English, and then it'll allow you very procedural ways of interacting, either via filters or either via a form that is more intuitive to you. And then it will generate that prompt internally, whatever is best suited to answer that question, and then get there. Because that engineering process is a hit or miss, and it sometimes work like a charm, and sometimes it's like always it doesn't get anywhere. So I've seen a lot of companies take that path where they are trying to simplify how a user can input data, and that is not contained to a text box anymore. They're trying to actually allow to enter information in a slightly more advanced way, and then they internally do this prompt engineering of sorts that is best suited for them, and then eventually the whatever GPT type models work. So I think 6 months or 1 year ago, prompt engineer was like a big thing, at least in the digital space, where you type something and you get a picture and you get a video. There it really mattered because every word that you wrote led to something different. Now a lot of these systems are standardized to a degree where you just write basic text again, and a lot of jargons that were super important in creating like real life images and whatnot, those are just fed in by the system, so that complication layer is handled at the system itself, and that becomes a product, right? So that's where Adobe Firefly was launched, right? They waited sweet 6-8 months to just accumulate all this information, and now you just talk it in plain English and it gives you like real life images in one shot. So I think prompt engineering is good to know if you really want to find, or you really want to juice out the last bit of these systems as a techie, right? As a non-tech person, if you want to just use the system reliably, I think products are going to embed it in themselves anyway.
Right. Yeah. I mean, prompt engineering, it does look interesting though, still to me. Maybe let's see what happens with it. Okay, so I'll ask one more question before we wrap up. Imagine it's like we are in 2044 now. What do you think like has happened with AI in the future? Like, where do you think how impactful has AI been in 2043? Like, what do you think?
On the good side, I think two things I'd love to see. A lot of advances in medical tech, finding cures for things that are not cured so far. And it's already helping a lot, right? Google's DeepMind is doing a lot of genetic research, and it's, I think in 20-25 years, that should help us find solutions to certain problems. That would be one thing. And second would be, I hope, some sort of a solution to utilize energy better, basically greener energy solutions would come through using these AI systems. Because currently, I think we are very heavy on fossil fuels, and that's not really sustainable. I think these are the two spaces where indirectly AI will add a lot more impact in the long run.
Cool, cool. Anybody else want to add to that?
I think like I agree with Pranjal, but I feel like to add on that, I think in 20 years we'll be able to optimize everything to a very high level. Like that is where we are actually moving towards. The only like thing that I am concerned about is where we come in play. Can that be a problem for humans to get so lazy that we just try to sit around, and one has to take a conscious decision to be part of that automized system than just exploiting it. So that would be a fun thing to see in 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen way too many sci-fi movies where that has happened. And I mean, it's surprised. It's not like people think that this will not happen to us, but who knows, even those people in movies also thought the same thing. So yeah, I mean, it is quite possible, but let's see how it happens. Still excited, not too scared of the
Yeah,
future.
definitely.
Anybody else want to add to that?
I think 20 years down the line, all the Homo sapiens will be employed to just keep control of AI. Like, okay, this is as much as the AI is allowed to do. If AI is doing more than this, shut down immediately. Delete the database, destroy it.
You'll only get paid if you've done enough work today.
Yeah, so yeah, that's actually quite concerning. I'm really not sure how the economy will work if AI starts doing everything.
True, true. Uh, I think that's it, folks. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. We will be back soon with another episode where we will be discussing on how to measure the doc effectiveness and quality. So stay tuned for our next episode and thank you for joining TalkX. Thank you and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you.